have you ever noticed that one of the funniest moments on George Lopez is when George does something that on paper should not be a good idea, but somehow it works perfectly. And the worst, probably funniest part about this is that the person that George blames for his trauma, for all his wrongs, for everything that has made him suffer, is the one that was more equipped to deal and even discipline his own kids. The episode is Weekend at Benny's. And before I get into this video and I deep dive it the way I usually do, just want to remind you guys that I'm so grateful for the support you guys have been showing the channel. There have been some people that have been questioning why all the videos that I have uploaded are gone, but to just kind of keep it short, they were not allowed to be on YouTube. And so I had to take them down. And that was a lot of hard work. It was like 2 months of work. And I'm being consistent. You guys can see my face a lot more. And it's basically the same thing. I'm just going to talk about the video, but now it's a little bit easier because I don't have to worry about YouTube coming down on me like that. But anyways, let's get on the video. I'm sure you guys can't wait. Let's do it. So the premise of this episode is simple. Max and Carmen are acting out terribly. They are out of control, they're spoiled, and they are starting to realize something that is extremely dangerous for them. And that is that their parents aren't necessarily the best at discipline and handing out actual punishment. So George decides to do something very bold. See, while Angie is out on a work trip, George is in charge of the kids. And one morning when Carmen and Max are fighting over the computer, they knock it down, they destroy it, and now George feels like they are ungrateful. So Benny basically just tells them, your kids will not last a weekend at my house. George takes her for her word and sends both Max and Carmen over to Benny's house, but only because Angie is not home. Now, if you watch the show, you understand why this is ironic. I've told you guys countless times how George is always complaining about Benny and how Benny raised them terribly and how Benny is at fault for everything that's wrong with George. And he's not lying, but it's weird that he feels Benny is the one with the answers. So in George's mind, this is perfect. But when Angie finds out, she's clearly upset about it. Because in Angie's mind, and honestly the audience's mind, Benny is the last person to be expected to discipline kids. But then something incredible happens because over the weekend, while George is kicking back, Carmen and Max are actually facing consequences. And when they return back home, they are polite, they are helpful, but more importantly, they are respectful. At one point, they're even serving dinner for Angie and George like little angels. George is proud of himself because he was right, but they're both kind of shocked. Like, I can't believe all it took was sending them to Benny's house. It's not because Benny scared them straight. Benny did something different. And it's more likely that she actually connected with them in a way that she didn't with George when he was growing up. Throughout the show, Benny still treats George as the little annoying kid she had to raise. But with Max and Carmen, it's just a little bit different because she is still sarcastic. She's still a little bit rude. She's still got a little bit of edge in her. But underneath all of it, she actually shows them respect. She talks to them like adults. And like I mentioned, she actually shows them that there are consequences, but she shows them directly. But most importantly, she doesn't let them manipulate her into ways that they would probably manipulate Angie or George. She's not trying to negotiate. She's basically telling them this is the way and there is no other way. And this is what makes it far funnier because the woman that ruined George's life has the exact antidote to this whole poison that is their behavior. But this is George Lopez, so obviously there's always a little twist. Even though Carmen and Max come back respectful, come back different, they now have Benny's little attitude. And the episode ends with George realizing that his plan worked. He was right. But the plan worked just a little bit too well. And that's why this episode is brilliant, because for years, George complains about Benny, but in one weekend, Benny is able to do something that Angie and him have not been able to do for basically their whole entire life, and that's to get them under control. And if there is one lesson to learn from this episode, is that discipline might not necessarily have to come from the Lopez household or even the perfect parent, to be honest. Even if that parent is Benny, and honestly, in this sitcom, that might be the most George Lopez solution there is. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, let me know down below. Drop a like, drop a comment, share this video with one of your friends, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.